Hello and a very good evening. You're watching Open Debate in English at ELITETV. I'm your host, Chongtham Amrita, and today the topic of discussion is the vain MEITEI-KUKI dialogue. On April 5, the Union Home Ministry facilitated a dialogue between 6 MEITEI and 9 Kuki Zo representatives in an effort to bring peace to Manipur. But the meeting ended without any breakthrough, just another symbolic gesture with no substance. The Kuki delegates repeatedly said they need to consult their people before responding to key issues. The question is, if they didn't come with the authority to decide or even agree to any kind of agenda, why attend the meeting at all? And meanwhile, the MEITEI side was equally limited, with just 6 members from Amuko and Fox. Major groups like Kokomi declined the invitation, and also many other CSOs said that they did not receive the invite, including Mayra Paibi women, who have been at the forefront of the movement, at the forefront of this Kuki aggression and resisting all the aggression since the beginning. They weren't even invited. Now, this could have been a moment to show unity and strength of the Manipur people, but instead, the Home Ministry appeared to just handpick some participants and leaving out some real stakeholders. Now, if we don't collectively push back against any kind of selective representation, especially when it comes to negotiation and dialogue, we risk playing into the hand of the center's divide and rule approach. We have all seen this before. For example, like in the Shillong Accord of 1975, there is much similarities with what is going on in Manipur. The Shillong Accord of 1975, it only deepened the crisis in Nagaland. We all know that. Unless we ask the right kind of questions and demand a more credible process, a substantial process, peace will still remain elusive and peace will remain just a performance, superficial. This is why we are going to discuss this tonight. But first, let us welcome and introduce our panelists for tonight. Our first speaker for tonight is Oja and Satyajeet, Bureau Chief for UNI. Oja, welcome to Open Debate. Our second speaker for tonight is Oja Dhiren A. Sadokpam, Editor-in-Chief for the Frontier Manipur. Oja, welcome to Open Debate. And our third panelist for tonight is Oja Dr. Naorem Bobo, Media Spokesperson for DMCC. Oja, welcome to Open Debate. Now let's start with this program right away. I'll first go with Oja Satyajeet. Oja Satyajeet, we all know that the talks between the Kuki and MEITEI representatives held at the Ministry of Home Affairs, it went futile. It went without agreeing to any kind of agenda, nor even coming to a substantial peace process. So we can say that it was in vain, firstly. And also we have, as in the opening remarks, we have heard that there have been some stakeholders that were missing in this meeting. But Oja, before going into all the depth, do you think that this meeting was genuine from the side of the Ministry of Home Affairs, or do you think it was just a symbolic exercise just to give some word in the floor of the Parliament? Oja Satyajeet.
Thank you, and my greetings to all the viewers and to the other panelists. Before coming to the question you have raised, let me just give my opinion on about the political organizations, social bodies in Manipur. After independence, Manipur went through a political crisis. Then for the next 3 decades, it was fighting for statehood. And all the organizations and the people living in Manipur, they were fighting for a united Manipur. And if we look at all the organizations which came out of Manipur, it had the word all Manipur, whether it was all Manipur Students Organization, because Manipur is a multi-ethnic society, and those who represent Manipur, they do not represent a particular ethnic community. And so what happened is, after the crisis which happened in May 3, 2023, especially people living in New Delhi and people from other parts of the nation, they started dividing the people and organizations on ethnic lines. And that is a very, very dangerous trend that the center has initiated. And I think that whatever organizations which are based in Manipur, they are fighting for a united Manipur for emotional integrity, for territorial integrity. And in this aspect, when the center invited for talks, so there was some confusion in Manipur because most of the organizations, they do not represent one particular ethnic group. They represent the entire state. For example, all Manipur United Clubs organizations, most of its founder members or educated members, they are from different communities. So they do not represent one particular group. So we can say that it is a pan-Manipur organization.
Okay.
So there was a confusion in Manipur whether they should represent one particular community or the entire state. That is one dilemma. And the other issue is after the crisis, when the center initiated the talks, they divided the people and they even divided the legislators. They met the MEITEI MLAs, the KUKI MLAs, Naga MLAs. I think that is one unfortunate step, and I think that is a wrong political step taken up by the central government. Whether it is a divide and rule policy, whether it is a policy which we have not foreseen, or it is to divide the people on different grounds. And that is one particular issue that I was just wanted to mention. And those some organizations which went to New Delhi, they must be having their own reasons for going to New Delhi. And those organizations which didn't go, they must be having their own reason for not going to New Delhi. So let us forget about the regions and let us forget about the organization they represent. And the issue which we shall be delving in today is about the crisis in Manipur. For example, those organizations which went to New Delhi can be divided into two groups. One group was ready to hold talks without any condition, whereas the other group was not ready to hold talks without any conditions. So they came with some preconditions, and when the government of India offered them some initiatives, they refused to accept it. That means their hands are tied and they are controlled from some organizations, and they are not coming on their own free will. Because if they had come on their own free will, they could have accepted what the center said. They said they will go back and consult the people.
Right.
And I wonder if they will really consult with the people or some persons who are dictating the terms in the crisis in Manipur. That is what I fear. And the other issue is some organizations like AMUCO and others which went to New Delhi, they were ready to accept what New Delhi offered. That means they went on their own volition, they were able to take decisions, and they were to hold talks so that normalcy and peace can return in Manipur. They wanted peace and they wanted Manipur to develop and march forward. That is the division which I want to make. And the other issue which I want to place in this discussion is when they were holding talks, it was a very, very lengthy process.
Okay.
And they got an opportunity because the good thing about holding talks is they got the opportunity to negate the wrong statement, the wrong narrative which some groups are saying about Manipur. That is one good thing about holding talks. For example, if I have some disagreement with the other two panelists, then I have the opportunity to say what I don't want and what I want. That is one good thing, and it also helps the people, especially living in New Delhi, those who are organizing the talks, to understand what exactly the situation is. But if you really want to know the problems, I think those who are inviting the organizations and individuals for talks, they must be knowing what exactly is the problem. They know what exactly is the problem. They must be knowing who are initiating the crisis, who are involved in the crisis, and who are not interested in resolving the Manipur crisis. And the third issue is the government of India, those representatives who are holding talks, they had already come down to Imphal in Manipur several times, and they had a whole series of talks with various organizations, various individuals, unofficially, officially, and they know the entire details of Manipur crisis, and they must have come to some conclusion that the crisis in Manipur was engineered by certain groups who wanted chaos, who wanted to create problems in Manipur so that they can do some evil activities like poppy plantation, illegal drug trafficking, and just so many issues. And the other issue is, I think the root cause of the entire crisis, some say, was was an order by the Supreme Court. In the Supreme Court, I forgot the exact year, it must be around 2022, it gave a directive, especially in the Aravalli Hill Range, that is in the Delhi area, that all the reserve areas, protected areas, should be protected. There are three types of hill areas. One is protected areas, then there is reserve area, and the third is unclassified areas. All should be protected. And after that, there was NRC in Assam. Then now, as it was a decision from the Supreme Court, there was something going on undercurrent that those who have illegally settled in the hill areas, especially the protected and reserve areas, they will be evicted. And the order of the Supreme Court has to be followed. And throughout the entire nation, the only area where people have wrongly established established villages in reserve and protected area is in Manipur. And the entire greeneries in the protected and reserve areas, they were converted into poppy farms. So those were the core issues. And to avoid the backlash from the Supreme Court, to avoid the backlash from the government, and to avoid the onslaught from the government of Manipur and government of India, they decided to start a crisis so that the entire masses would be diverted to other the issue, and they took the opportunity from the order of the High Court of Manipur that ST status should be given to the MEITEI. And if they had any problem, it was not a political decision. It was a legal document, and it was a judicial process. And if they had any grievances in judicial process, they could have gone to a higher court, and they could have gone to Supreme Court. There are so many legal opportunities. There are so many legal ways to fight a legal. So rather than going to legal activities, they decided to take that to advantage of the order, misuse it, misinterpreted it. Even though the government of the High Court of Manipur had given another judgment giving details of the order, because it is an executive order. The High cannot take a decision. The government, the High Court had clarified on that matter. Even after that, they kept on pursuing the matter, and that was for an evil purpose. And those issues, the government, those who were holding talks in New Delhi, they must have understood. And I think the time has come, Amrita, to convey the message to those who are creating problems in Manipur that they should stop their illegal activities, number one. Number two, NRC should be conducted, and all illegal immigrants, the government of India decided 1961, so we have 1961 electoral roll, we have the 1961 census, and those who cannot establish their ancestry to the 1961 registry, they can be identified as non-Indians or not citizens of India, and we are not saying that they will be thrown out of the nation. They are humans. We know they have problems. They have human problems. We shall be giving them room. We shall be giving them space. But the only problem is they will not have the opportunities given to an Indian citizen. Those are the issues which they were really concerned. If the government of India can resolve that crisis, I think 99% of the crisis will be resolved. So I think it is a very intricate issue, and one or two talks will not resolve the crisis. Thank you.
Okay, so the talks should go forward is what the bottom line of what Oja Satyajeet has mentioned. Now, moving on with this debate, I will go to Oja Dhiren. Oja Dhiren, I want to ask, or I want to question the timing of this talk, first of all, because we all know that holding any kind of talks or negotiation, especially when there is a state in such deep ethnic divide, and trying to hold any kind of a talk for a peace process, it is a very long exercise, as stated and emphasized by Oja Satyajeet. But the timing, because the central government has not even fulfilled its duties, especially by restoring some basic law and order, and also the recent exercise to give free movement in the highways was also met with a strong resistance, failing terribly. So by not fulfilling those things first, why hold such a talk in the center, and also that talk that went futile, meaning that the Kuki-Zo organizations, which was represented by 9 Kuki-Zo people, they said that they will go back and consult with some people. So who are these people, and why there was a lack of genuine or authenticity from the side of the Ministry of Home Affairs and even the Kuki-Zo community? Do you think that this kind of a talk, there is some parallel to the Shillong Accord of 1975, where there is not much equal representation of all the stakeholders? And also how the talk went down is that one side was agreeing to surrender of arms while the other side wasn't. So is there some parallel to that as well? What's Dhiren, your thoughts?
Amrita, first of all, thank you for having me, and my greetings to my 2 respected panelists. I think you have asked the right question, whether the timing is right or not. It's a question of asking whether timing is right or not in a fluid situation like we are witnessing in Manipur. I think, it's as good as saying that all is fair in love and war, okay? So even making peace itself, it can start from anywhere, okay? So that way I'm not too concerned about whether the timing is right or not. What I'm more concerned is about the intent of the parties involved in the, what you call so-called negotiations, or some form of negotiations. As far as I can understand, I mean, your comparison of this particular kind of initiative, the government of India's initiative, or initiative that comes from the Ministry of Home Affairs, okay? So this, I think, if you compare it with Shillong Accord and all, I think it's too far, kind of thing. But I think it will be good for us to concentrate on what we have on our hands, okay? On both our hands.
Okay.
So I think if you, think deep into what must have gone wrong. If Kuki-Zo groups, I can understand, I think there was Zomi Council, Kuki-Zo Council and Zomi Council, okay, and they were represented by 8 or 9, as you are saying it 9, but I was assuming that they were 8. Anyway, and those who represented the thing from the valley, I think there were 2 groups. There is Federation of Civil Society Organizations, FOX, and All Manipur United Clubs Association, okay, FOX. So FOX and what you call AMUCO, All Manipur United Clubs Organizations, and Federation of Civil Society Organizations in Manipur. But one thing I think Satyajeet has rightly pointed out is, see, those who represented, I think even, I'm very sure when these 2 organizations went and met the Home Ministry officials, as well as those representatives from the Kuki-Zo groups, I think they were not speaking in terms of whether they are Meitei or not. I think because I think if you even closely analyze the key what you call movers or key, particularly in this talk, I think even Fox was represented by, I think, as a Meitei Pangal, then, I think other 2 Meitei. So in some sense, they went as representatives of people of Manipur in many sense, if you literally look into it. And if you look at the organizational structure also, I think they've got, as Satyajeet pointed out, even AMUCO has got lots of many other groups belonging to different, as we call it, groups, different ethnic groups. So that way, I think they were trying to represent the people of Manipur. But if you ask me whether this this initiative is good or bad, I won't call it is all in vain. Okay, I think there is it always takes time to start something of this kind of a sort. But I think it's good time that they started it. Unfortunately, COCOMI, Coordinating Committee on Manipur's Integrity, just declined and they did not participate. Okay, but I think what I heard, and also what I have heard and what I have read from different sources, is that there were rules of engagement. I think very few people knows about this. I don't know why media are not writing it, but I think what actually happened was they're guided by this meeting, particularly in that happened in under the what you call watchful eye of the Ministry of Home Affairs, had some rules of engagement, and these rules of engagement, I think, according to these rules of engagement, there were no precondition for any what you call precondition for meeting from any community. Okay, and also the meeting did not legitimize whether what you are saying is right or wrong or all that kind of thing, even if we try to correct certain narratives that is being thrown or certain wrong narratives. But I think this meeting in the rules of engagement, I think they were more concentrated on short term as well as long term, but then they were primarily concerned with what we call the short term issues. Okay, and long legacy issues, I think they said they will leave it to the government of India, and then government of India, when they take a final decision, then they will take all kind of what do you call whatever decision that is so-called the rightful decision. And I don't think this is a final meeting, and they are planning, I think, their series of meeting. So if you look in at the rules of engagement, I think. Okay, and every meeting has to have some kind of a form of consensus, and primarily because of the consensus, I think government of India, particularly represented by the Ministry of Home Affairs, also, I think they in all their enthusiasm, I think they also what do you call? I think they thought that short-term issues would be easily addressed, and and if they make a joint statement that would finally bring, and it could be kind of a ice-breaking kind of a episode, an event where the two groups can come to the negotiating table and finally peace will be restored. But unfortunately, what happened is, as you had mentioned before the beginning of this show, Amrita, that the 6 kind of points that they have raised, I mean, particularly in the joint statement, I think Kuki group, the Kuki Jo Council as well as Jomi Council did not find any signatory. They didn't sign it. But if you literally look into the kind of the statements that was given, I don't know if you have read the statement that is the joint statement, but what I could gather out of what I do through certain sources, I think they were primarily, as you said, focused on 6 or 7 points, and these 6 or 7 points, I think they are crucial to starting a form of negotiation. Okay. I mean, it's unfortunate that Kokomi could not participate, and also Kokomi has got a valid reason for that, and it's highly political valid reason that they are citing, but that is debatable, but that we can leave for another day. But and also I think Kokomi is free to take their own decision. At the end of the day, CSO represents themselves and all the people, and they will be taking decisions on behalf of the people. But I think it's a good initiative. But as I have mentioned, that out of the 6 or 7 points that was included in the supposedly supposed to be a kind of a joint appeal or some kind of a joint statement, I mean, it includes the stopping of targeting what do you call each other. I mean, violence targeting each other. Then appreciation of the governor's appeal for depositing illegal weapons. Mind you, it says depositing, okay? It doesn't say surrendering of arms.
Right.
We have to be very careful about even the semantics of how words are being framed in the thing, okay? And I think national media also has overhyped saying that Meitei organizations, but I don't buy that theory, because I think if you literally look into, as I said, Amuko as well as, I think they don't represent Meitei, only Meitei. I think they try to represent all the people of Manipur. At least if they are not representing the people of Manipur, they are representing the idea of Manipur, okay? Which is very important. So, and so appreciation of governor's role or governor's appeal for depositing illegal weapons and assurance to help people in the process, then appeal to stop all kinds of disturbances or hindrance or obstruction of movement along the highways, and to cooperate with what you call district administrations or whatever administrations there to facilitate free movement of people, okay? And here it's not about MEITEI-KUKI or Naga, it could be anybody. So I think it was some, I think if you look into the kind of a proposed statement that was supposed to be issued, which the Kuki groups, the Kuki Joe Council as well as Zomi Council refused to sign, I think it is all inclusive. It's not exclusive. And that way, I think some level of achievement, I think some level of diplomatic, what you call, victory has been achieved, I think. So I would see it in a very positive sense, instead of that negative aspect of, whether this timing is right or whether, Home Ministry is actually doing the role, what do you call, fulfilling its constitutional role of safeguarding passengers along the highway and all that kind of thing, despite the Home Minister Amit Shah's promise of, allowing what you call free passage to passengers whoever wants to cross, particularly from the valley towards Senapati. And I think folks also tried going that, and folks were stopped right in Imphal, okay, or maybe in Sengmai area in the valley itself. It was already stopped. So I think that is the failure of the central government. We can discuss how the central government is failure. But what I'm trying to appreciate is, those two groups from Manipur, the Amoko and Fox, who have participated in this kind of a discussion and the kind of appeal that is being, where they agreed to. I think this is the right way to start some form of a negotiation, I think. And the presumptions are always there. I mean, there are political stance can be, political positioning can be always there. Like as Kokomi has already taken a political stance, it can be always there. But there has to be some starting point, okay, a point of departure from where one can take forward, all forms of negotiation, all forms of peacemaking and all that. But if you remember, amongst the last of the few points that was supposed to be agreed upon by these groups, the supposed to be, when I say supposed to be, because it was signed, only two Amuko and Fox representatives were willing to sign, and the other two groups from the Cookies Joe, they said they'll consult somebody else.
Right.
And God knows, nobody knows whom are they going to consult. There may they are going to consult some people who actually finally takes the decision, not on people's behalf perhaps, but on certain vested political interest, behalf of certain vested interests. So, and I think these are all things. And also, I think I read a statement in one of the website, I think it must be The Wire or something, where one of the Kukijo representatives said that, I know now the free passage of goods as demanded by folks, free passage of goods and are already happening. People, they have some kind of a reservation, but that is I think it's one way to start kind of the negotiation, okay? And a resolution can be through dialogues and consultations, and this is just the beginning, I think. So, but for me, I think these two groups have, they are not only, I think they have not only succeeded in what their mission is. I think they made some kind of a historic move, okay, to start off some form of negotiation. I think people of Manipur are, I think, actually fed up of the kind of a thing, including people like you and I, everybody, okay? We are all of some kind of a prolonging the issue for long. So there has to be a start. It's not necessarily we have to wait for the government in India to, intervene, but I mean, even we as a civil society, members of a civil society, or as a citizen of this country, we can always put forward our views, okay? So that way, but of course, the higher, resolutions, higher long-term issues, I mean, that government in India, along with the groups from Kuki-Jo communities or communities from the valley or communities, the other communities from the hills like the Nagas and all that kind of thing, it can be jointly thought out maybe in subsequent stages of kind of a negotiation. But I think it was a good start. I would say it's a good start.
Okay, Dhiren is very appreciative of this first dialogue between the two communities and also in the presence of the Ministry of Home Affairs. Now, on that note, Oja Bobo, do you also agree with the statement given by Oja Satyajeet and Oja Dhiren, and also regarding representation, who represented the Meitei or the Valley people and also those from the Kuki people? Are you in agreement with those who represented those from the valley. As Oja Dhiren suggested, that Amuko also represent all the people of Manipur, and there was a representation or of an idea of Manipur itself, and also even Oja Satyajeet was in agreement with that. But the thing is that there is one key particular body that's missing from the representation, which is the MEITEI-KUKI, the IMAs, who have been right at the forefront since the beginning of this crisis, and they have been also one of those unsung heroes, we could say that, who have been protesting, who have been resisting, who have been out on the streets fighting this Kuki aggression since May 2023. And do you think they have been missed out, or were they not invited? What could be the reason? Or do you think there is equal representation of all the stakeholders from Manipur?
Yes, good evening, Amrita, and to my respected panelists. Yeah, Amrita, regarding the talk which has already started or initiated on this 5th of April, that's a good start indeed for the last almost 2 years which the conflict has been going on. But before going to this, let us just see the May 3rd incident, and after the May 3rd incident, what all the CS of Manipur and all the public leaders as well as the MEITEI-KUKI, we always saw the slogan that we want peace and we want to live together. As many of our CSOs leaders, we have already given this how peace-loving people we the Manipuri people. But very unfortunately, you see, this almost 2 years, it's going to be 2 years on this method, that we are not able to assist the highways, and see, even the Honorable Home Minister has ordered for this free movement and on March 8th. But that does not happen. And see, so-called the Kuki Joe communities, despite many CSOs leaders and despite our MEITEI-KUKI, even all collectively, we call for peace. But they challenges first the 3 pillars of democracy of India: legislature, executive, and the judiciary. So it shows that they don't want a peace or peaceful dialogue, or they don't want to become this like the civilized society with coexistence in Manipur. And if we see the talks which they defy the order of Home Minister or the order of this legislative or order of the judiciary, then it is against the nation and against the country. So the question arises here is that why the central government still they are trying to make the dialogue which are not possible, or why don't they make another way of decision to bring peaceful in Manipur? See, after the PR rule, people of Manipur have been expecting that there should be some changes, but there is no such changes. Still, we are in that status quo, in that same level that we are having the same buffer zone. We are having not able to cross all these hill areas or any other part, or even IDP, or we cannot return it. So the demand which has been demanded by the people of Manipur, let us not come to MEITEI community only. We have been demanding that return of IDP, suspension of the SUS, operation of suspension, and as well as the abrogation of this buffer zone, and many other things. These are some important points which has been demanding by all the CSOs leaders. That may be the reason that Amuko, the Kokomi have denied, or Kokomi don't participate in this peace talk, because given such a long time, such a duration of almost 2 years, then why the central government is still listening or still defending themselves, or in the name of this political party, or in the name of other so-called their rule and regulation, that those people who have challenges the legislature, executive, and judiciary, and the 3 pillars of democracy, and why still today they are not giving such an ultimatum or some sort of time to surrender the arm, or to give a free movement to all the national highways of the Manipur in the hill areas especially. why don't they take such a step that or some kind of act that which restrict those illegal demand or illegal laws which has been prevailing in the hill areas, especially in the Kuki-Jo community areas. So, in my view, that Amrita, obviously, and the peace talk is a must. But firstly, we should also see the scenario which the people of Manipur has been demanding. It should be also in a priority manner that most of the CSOs and all the leaders of MEITEI-KUKI, and you have already mentioned about the unsung heroes which has been which they have sacrificed their life to defend integrity of Manipur. They should also be remembered, and we should keep in mind that the demand of the people of Manipur and voice of Manipur should be also heard in priority, not only the so-called Kuki-Jo community, which they have set in pre-ultimatum or some precondition of talk. That should not be the priority. The priority should be the people of Manipur voice and united Manipur. Let me conclude this first round.
Okay, very good point, Bobo. Now moving back to Satyajeet, I would like to raise this issue of the particular type or group of people that the Kuki-Jo Council and the Zomi Council wanted to consult, because they could not agree or give a decisive response when asked to tone down or to reduce the hostilities against the Meitei community, and they said that they will go back and consult with the people. The question is, who are these people, and who, if they cannot be present at such a high level meeting, why would their voices will still be considered? And if the Zomi Council and the Kuki-Jo Council still want to consider their words and their decisions into such a big matter, then who are these people? Isn't it a good idea to identify them and also make them participate in any kind of talks, if there is any in the future? So the question is, if a group of people are calling the shots, and we know that the Kuki-Jo Council and the Zomi Council have been consistently giving out statements saying that they would not be able to agree any kind of, and they've been giving out terms and conditions every single day. I think these are coming from this certain group of people. So isn't it fair to first identify those group of people and also bring them into the negotiation if they have anything to say? But it looks like they are still trying to deal towards some backdoor dealings like they do in the black market. So this thing needs to be very transparent from the side of the Kuki community if there needs to be trust building as well as peace building process. Just Satyajeet, your thoughts.
Amrita, both the panelists, they have expressed their opinions so well that there is not much for me to say, but still regarding the issue which you have raised, I would say that it is basically about foundation. For example, if you ask me about medicine, I will not know anything. If I will say, I will consult someone and tell you. And if you ask Dr. Bobo, he will immediately tell you, because his foundation is medicine. So, and it depends on what exactly is the foundation of the group which is holding talk with the government of India. Because I am saying this because if you look very carefully at the way they operate, you will find that they are not ready to lay down arms, number one. Because the entire foundation of their movement is extortion, kidnapping, and then attack on civilians, especially on the highways, on government employees, and other communities. That you must have seen since the establishment of the Kuki militant groups, especially in Manipur. Because if you look at the trend from 2005, they had started coming to Manipur. Then in 2008, the government, the Assam Rifles, they negotiated and they signed the truce, that is the suspension of operations, with the Kuki militants. And those militants, the KNA, it had its origin, and it was basically based in Myanmar. They were known as KNA-B, and they were given the term KNA in Manipur. So it means that their foundation was basically militancy, not militancy, but they had a bigger agenda also. Those are the foundation which we are talking about. And those people who came to New Delhi to speak about investors, they are the frontal organizations of those groups who had come down from Myanmar, established KNAB, then the other group. And if you look at the trend of the Kuki militants, when we hold talks, their cadres should decrease, the numbers have to increase. But we find that the number of Kuki militants, when it was initially signed, it was just 19 groups. Later, it was gradually increased to 25. Now we have about 40 militant organizations. And the government of India has not declared even a single Kuki militant organization, whether under suspension of operations or not, as a terror organizations under the UAPA. Even though all the organizations in Manipur, other organizations in Nagaland, Tripura, Assam, they are all classified under UAPA. And if you look, even in the during the CAA crisis, even Gogoi was labeled under the UAPA Act. So many journalists they were sentenced under the UAPA. So even in the for the community Kuki groups, the government seems to be soft on them. The government seems to be using them for some other motives. So it clearly shows that those who went to Delhi, they had no intention to stop their illegal activities, because the very foundation of their income is based on extortion on the highways, extorting people, intimidating people, and creating crisis, because it gives them a lot of benefits. The basic benefit is it helps, in aggressive expansionism of the area of their dominance. Because, for example, if I fight with my neighbor, if I have a weapon, then my neighbor will be intimidated, and he or she will normally say, will move away. That is exactly what they have been doing systematically over a period of time.
Yes.
And if they hold talks now, if they agree to what the government is saying, then they will lose so many things which they had built up illegally for such a very, very long time in a very systematic manner for the last 20, 30 years. They have a very, very systematic plan of, for example, if you look at their demands, because in the 1980s, their demands were for a specific area of Churachampur. Because when the Mizo Accord was signed in 1986, they demanded some portion of Churachampur. Then gradually they increased it to the entire Churachampur. Then later they increased the area to, they included Kampupi also. It was known as Sadar at that times. Then they included Chandel. Then they included Technopal. So then they had a territory which was contiguous to Mizoram and which was contiguous to the Chin region in Myanmar. So they have a very, very long plan. They have a very, very strategic plan to disturb the integrity and unity of India that they have a design. And I think the government of India should realize by this time that if the people, they are not ready to lay down arms, if they want to create problem, then the government should take action against them. That's the only solution. Otherwise, they will keep on doing what their illegal activities. They will keep on targeting innocent people, and the people of Manipur have suffered enough. And we have to go to say that the time has come to stop all the illegal activities of the terrorists or the militants or whatever terminology we use on them. And I think, and we should also now divide the people into two groups, especially those people who are attacking Manipur. Those who are ready to hold talks, they are not able to speak out due to the fear of the militants or the terrorists. And if they want those people who want peace to speak without fear, then we should rein in the terror monger, those who are creating problems in one or two districts of Manipur. The government should rein in. And the government of India says that it will be having a 5 trillion economy and it has a very strong army. And we keep on asking, if it has 30, 40, 50,000 soldiers, why can't they open 30 to 40 kilometers of national highway to make it accessible to all? And if you look at the narratives in some of the papers from other states, it is very, it was very unsatisfactory for us, because they manipulated in such a way, the way they write, they manipulated in such a way that it seems that people are divided on ethnic grounds. People here are completely different, as though some people are from a different planet, and if some people are from some other planet. So they don't, they look it from a different vision. They put on glasses with colored glasses. They should remove the glasses. I think they should come down here. We invite all those who are right about Manipur. We love them. We'll give them the correct information, and they should meet both the communities, irrespective of the differences. They should come down here, and they should, because it is the basics of journalism that if you want to report something, then you have to take reports from both sides, and you cannot manipulate the narrative. And what we see is 99% opinion and 1% news. That is exactly the problem. What we want is 100% news. When the correct news comes, then people will have the correct information. As also, that is the dilemma which we are facing. And coming to the specific question that you have raised, the organizations, the two organizations which went to New Delhi, they have done their job wonderfully, and they have given they have given the opinion, and they have given the voices. They have given a room, and they have given a platform where people of Manipur, they can air their problems. They have given their job. They have done their job. And the other problem is those who were from the other party, especially the Kuki groups. I think they just came down to give false narrative, number one, because all their narratives, if we understand the narratives what they were stating, they were mostly incorrect. They're false on false data, false history, and those have been clarified, and they are not ready for peaceful dialogue. That means they are from a different dimension, and we have to convey the message that people from a different dimension have no room in a developed and peaceful society, and we should show them the exit door. Thank you, Amrita. I'll simply sit in a second.
Very good point, Oja. That indeed is, you ended in a very positive note, as Oja Dhiren also earlier said that he is very hopeful about this first series of talks. Now, Oja Dhiren, considering that one key issue is that considering that this is one of those first series of talks that may also happen in the future, a lot of the other similar talks, but the thing is that the Kuki-Zo Council and the Zomi Council, they also laid down a few terms and conditions before going to New Delhi for this meeting. And also, even in the meeting of April 5, they said they will consult a few people. So my question is that if the Kuki-Zo community representatives continue to lay down such terms and conditions which cannot be agreed upon by the Meitei community, if there is such a situation where deadlock arises, where the party cannot come to some agreement or some middle path, what then? What happens then? Because all this exercise is done so that there can be normalcy and peace and free movement and all of that, but the Kuki-Zo Council continues to lay down terms, they continue to ignore, continue to avoid signing, or even come to agree in any kind of agreement to any kind of agenda. So if that continues, even in the next a series of talks, if there is any, what then? Because it is a good step that regarding from the side of the Amuko and folks that they held a press conference and also narrated everything that went down in this talk, also providing some transparency into that talk. And now also moving forward, I think the public would also want more such similar transparency. So if there is any kind of dialogue that may happen, what will happen then? I would like to know that from you, Dhiren.
Amrita, I think Satyajeet also has briefly mentioned about, the agenda must be set by some other people who do not actually want peace to return in Manipur.
Right.
But it's a dying need for us, okay? It's become a necessity for us to bring back peace and normalcy, and that is a primary condition. That is why I was focusing on why these two organizations, particularly Amuko and Fox, have done a good job. It's not that I disagree with Kokomi or something like that. No, Kokomi also has their own political stance, which I also agree to a certain extent or what they are trying to argue, okay, in terms of saying that if government India is a party to the conflict, how can you, arbitrate, or how can you be part of a, what do you call it, be a mediator, okay? So if you are part of the problem, then how can we, you become the mediator? So I think Kokomi has put the things right on the face of the government of India's move, or Ministry of Home Affairs move, okay? But I'm again, I think I'm reiterating certain issues. Amrita, you had mentioned about why other stakeholders, like, Kokomi is one thing, but other stakeholders like Men's Group or Myra Paibis or somebody, or they were not, some other organizations were not invited. I think, as I understand, this is, I think the Ministry of Home Affairs, I'm not speaking on their behalf, but I think their intention, whether they're rightly put in a correct perspective, or wrongly put in a wrong perspective.
Okay.
So, I think more deliberations of such kind, I think, is coming up soon, and I think it has to come, because one can prolong the conflict of this nature for almost more than 2 years, okay? So I think more deliberations will come, but I think they may be short-term or long-term measures to restore normalcy. So normalcy, if we have seen what you call abnormalities, or what you call violence for the last more than 2 years, I think why can't we wait also for peace, maybe with some kind of a patience, okay? But this, I also feel that, while appreciating this, both Fox and Kokomi, for participating in this thing and coming up with good measures that do not harm the idea of Manipur at all. I think they have not given up the idea of Manipur, and they have not given up any. I think they have not compromised on any on any count. Okay, so I think that way I still appreciate. But having said this, if you look into why, for instance, Kuki Zo Council and Zomi Council representatives, why they have not signed, as you said, as you have mentioned also, they keep coming up with new preconditions. But I think the mandate, as I said, rules of engagement for this kind of a dialogue, which both Fox and Kokomit participated, mandates that this there should be no precondition for meeting from any community. Okay. So that's why I'm saying we have to know. See, when you and I, or maybe when this the four of us right now, including you, okay, in the panel, and our esteemed respected two other panelists, including me, so we need to have some kind of a rules for engagement. Okay. So if we are following that kind of a rules of engagement, it's like playing football, but with certain kind of a universal rule, okay, rule for everybody. But if some people, some organizations cannot follow up that rule for the game, or rule for the game, but there is no precondition, but certain rules for engagement. Okay, so we should number one, we should be very careful about when I say there is no precondition for such kind of meeting, there is an absence of rules of engagement. So any form of dialogue starts always with rules of engagement or some terms of reference has to be there, okay, as a guiding principle. And I think these two organizations are from the valley, as I say, and like what Amupu and Fox have done, I think, good job. But we should be worried about, as you have also mentioned again, that Kuki Zo Council and Zomi Council, they always refer back to some other as we say, we don't know whom are they going to consult, because maybe Ministry of Home Affairs thinks that they are the decision makers, but when we can't make the decision, I think who is going to make the decision? But I'm reminded, when you mentioned about this fact, I also am reminded of this accusation which is thrown by Kokomi. Okay, Kokomi says that that government is part of the problem. As in not as many words that I'm saying. I'm not trying to put words into Kokomi's mouth, but in fact they said this party to the conflict. How can you mediate?
Right.
So that way, I think, if eventually, I think they will, turn around. I think the Kuki Jo Council as well as Jomi Council will turn around. Why? Because eventually it is government of India whom they heavily rely on. That all of us we know. History speaks for itself. All of us we know. And as Satyajeet also had mentioned that, government of India's policies, government of India's all kinds of strategic thinkings, geopolitical issues or interests that government of India thinks, they all, is to the advantage positions of the Kuki-Jo community. Okay, so I think eventually they will listen to what the Ministry of Home Affairs says, and if the Ministry of Home Affairs or the government of India or any hawks within the government give them a wrong advice, then of course peace will never come. So we'll have to live with another thing. But I don't think the people, Kuki-Jo Council or Kuki-Jo Zomi Council, I mean, they are representing people, no? So people, the community that they represent will not accept it in the long run, because eventually people also they'll eventually raise their voice. So that is one thing I want to emphasize. And I think it was a good start in all. I think whatever happens, but I think, as I said, this is just short for this kind of meetings that is happening. I think a couple of other meetings are coming up. I was told there's be some regular engagement of this kind of a sort happening. So I think there'll be more other representatives coming, like women's group and other groups and all. But it's not
we'll see about that. We'll see about that, say.
Yeah.
So moving forward with the final segment of today's program, I will come to Oja Bobo. In conclusion, Oja Bobo, as we've been discussing regarding the first round of talks, and as Oja Dhiren highlighted that there will be more such talks in the future as well coming up. According to you, what should it look like moving forward so that peace and normalcy can really be seen on the ground, in active progress and also actively on the ground, not just in such a way where there is peace only on paper, only in the floor of the parliament, only recorded in newspapers, but truly actionable, tangible peace and normalcy on the ground. What should it look forward moving forward from this first round of talk?
Amrita, yes, a very good question. See, if the peace should be brought into Manipur, or peace should be lived together with the coexistence of all the communities which have been living for many years, the 34 communities, then the talk which is initiated by the central government of India, that should not be against the interests and people of Manipur, including the territorial integrity and coexistence, and there should not be disturbance of any on the ethnical lines or on the community lines, and that should be brought under one umbrella. Then we can come forward and live together as a peaceful, coexistent and progressive Manipur. And secondly, that should not be brought into again in the political lines. Political lines, those people who are trying to divide and rule policy in the name of this politics or in the name of religion, that should also be avoided. And lastly, that all the people of Manipur, not only this MEITEI community or any other community, they should come forward for peace talk, but without disturbing the territorial integrity of Manipur and without disturbing any others' community interests. It should be the idea of Manipur which our forefathers have been building for many thousands years. We should live together, we should go forward, but not against the interests and people of Manipur, and as well as any interest in the name of communities or name of any ethnical lines or any political parties. Thank you.
Very good, very beautifully put, Oja Bobo. As we've come to the end of today's program, in summarization, I would like to say that even though the first round of talks held at the center in the presence of the Ministry of Home Affairs, the dialogue between the two communities remained futile even in the first talk. There is still hope that in the future there will be some kind of breakthrough from both the communities, also to be represented by all the communities equally, so that ultimately there can be real tangible peace on the ground. And with that hope and with that message, I would like to conclude today's program, and I would like to thank our speakers, esteemed speakers, Oja and Satyajeet, Oja Dhiren A, Sadokpam, and also Oja Dr. Naorem Bobo for joining us and sharing us with your thoughts. Thank you all once again. And I would like to thank our viewers for tuning in tonight. We will be back again tomorrow with more exciting topics. Please keep watching Elite TV. This is your host, Chongtham Amrita, signing off. Have a good night.